Welcome, everybody. Today's a lesson around team. Team can be really tricky. And so if you are working here on your own and you don't have a team, then probably skip this one. I think there might be something else more useful to you. But this one is really a good idea when you're a bit perplexed and you think, I'm not really sure where we're going wrong, or why doesn't this person fit in, or, have a bit of a look back, and then you'll go, oh, wow, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, right? And so what I've found over the years is you see patterns forming in people and you think, that's really interesting. And you tend to put people in, she's a bit like that one, or he's a bit like that one. And that's good, except that there is no two people the same. So people are different, and we need to look at them and help them and support them uniquely as well. And so that's why I really loved this book when I read it. It's called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And I want you to think about how this works for you. So I'm going to give you the hairdresser or the beauty therapist version, but the book is great. I can't remember the name of the author. I feel like Patrick might be his first name, or someone that might even be his last name. Anyway, I'm sure we'll help you out with that. And so you could listen to the audio book. It's about like a big company that has a sales division and a accounting division and things like that. Each of those big divisions, like you might have in a big hospital or something, and how each one of them thinks their part is really important and the others are less important. And they're kind of pulling in different directions. And I think if you look at salon owners and salon team members, sometimes we're pulling in different directions. And if you look at junior team members and senior team members and maybe front of desk, they're pulling in different directions too often. So we need to be all on the same page. And so that's what the 5 dysfunctions of a team will get you to look at, so that you can understand. You think, that's where the problem is. So I'll share my screen with you now. So just hang on a second. So it's drawn in a pyramid shape for a reason, and that's because the bottom is the most important. So trust. So if you had a team member who you wanted to train to do something, and if she didn't trust that you would support her, or if she didn't trust that you would make fun of her lack of results, or, if she didn't feel that you would look after her when she wins and when she doesn't win, then we stop before we begin. Like, it's really important that you understand that trust is everything. And trust isn't, I think people tend to think trust is like, I'll tell you a secret and I don't want you to tell anyone. That's one form of trust, and probably the most common form of trust. But I think trust is just having that unconditional, like Simon Sinek is I'm a big fan of his work. And he talks about, in a family, we don't go, well, you know what? If you can't learn to walk by the age of 2, we're going to get rid of you and get another child. If you can't feed yourself, we're going to get rid of you. It doesn't work like that. Well, sadly, maybe in some cases it does, but that's awful, isn't it? But mostly we just accept, make adjustments, and we just continue to love unconditionally, or we look after that person unconditionally. But it's not like that in the workplace. And so this causes a problem, because people in your team might be feeling, and this is where trust plays out, might be feeling that if they don't perform, you're going to get rid of them. They feel unsafe, right? So if they don't feel safe, then they're not going to tell you what they can't do, because for fear of losing their job. So they hide it from you. And then when there is that lack of trust, then you can't help them, because when you ask them, can they do something, they tell you they can and they can't. Right. So I don't know. It's the biggest piece of the triangle. So you have to get the trust right. Now, if you say that you're going to do something and you don't, then they won't trust you to do it. If you say, I'm going to be at work early tomorrow, and then you're not, all of these things will either build trust or not build trust. And so it's the little things, it's the little decisions that you make every day that will allow someone to trust you or not. So it all comes back to you. And in my business, it all comes back to me. So nobody's perfect. I understand that. And when you do something and you let someone down, you need to be honest and tell them. And that way they will trust you. You don't tell lies. You don't, cover things up. You say, I don't know why I did it. It was so silly. I had every intention to do it like that, and then I did it like that. So be honest, be vulnerable. It's really, really important. So that's the biggest one. Next one is the fear of conflict. And I think that this is a really big one in our industry. And it's because we are not safe. We don't feel safe that if we were to say something that it won't be held against us, or we're just really fragile people because we're very emotional people, and we need to be to look after people. We need to be have empathy for people, or what they call empaths, where you can really feel a person, and that's how you can look after someone really well. But the trouble with that is, until you build the muscle of getting some feedback and maybe some critical feedback, feedback that's not in your favor, then you're not going to like it, and they're not going to like it. And so because that, you don't want to have that conversation. That's probably the number one thing I struggle with, is that the team members are fearful to say how it is, and the salon owners are fearful to say it how it is, right? Now, all we need to do is say it with love, right? You have to say it. You have to say it, because nobody grows out of, okay, I'm fine. And did you notice how my voice went up? I often say it's a cue that the person isn't telling the truth, because when they say, how are you? Go, good, I'm good, thanks. Like, it's just you notice in your day-to-day and see who raises their voice when they answer. How you going? Yeah, great. How you going? Yeah, not so good. Not so good. You don't go, yeah, I'm not going so. You can't even say it. You can't pitch your voice and be honest. It just doesn't work. It's the, hello, how can I help you? It's this standard stock level of behavior, and I hate it. I call it romper room, which was the name of a children's program when I was growing up, or when my kids were growing up. And it's just, hello, here's the teddy bears. And I think, who talks like that? Don't talk like that. It's really fake, right? So because we have such fear of conflict, then nothing really gets solved. Okay, so then there's no trust. Okay, so it just doesn't work. You have to get used to people being able to tell you the things that they would like you to consider or change or work on, and the same for them. Now, it's like a bank, right? If you're only ever putting withdrawals, as in that's not good enough and that's not good enough, and you're not putting, wow, they did a really good job of that, so that's a deposit, like a good thing in the bank, then occasionally can take out a withdrawal, as in, you know what, I think we need to talk about this, because I feel like I've mentioned it a few times and maybe I haven't mentioned it clear enough, but it's still a problem. You getting to work in time to be ready for the client is a problem for the business. And I don't want the clients to feel like, oh, they're putting you out because you run in after them. So I don't know. Let's have a chat about it, right? What is it that you need to do, or how can I support you, or have I not made it clear? Talk to me. So that's a conflicting conversation that needs to be had. But it needs to be had. What I often hear is they go, oh, what kind of time's this? Good morning. Oh, they'll say, no, when someone comes in, let's say they have to be here at 9 o'clock and they come in at 1 minute past 9, and the owner or someone else will say, good afternoon. Why? What does that do? It just means I noticed and I'm a smart ass. Don't do that, right? Just when you get a minute, just say, we need to have a chat before you leave tonight, please. I need 5 minutes. That's it. Let's let it go and talk about it when you have time and no one else is listening. It's got to happen, right? You have to be able to have courageous conversations about things that are not to your liking, and you also need to be able to have conversations about things that are not to their team members' liking. End of story. Okay? You are what you put out. So if no one can talk to you or approach you or tell you anything, well, good luck, because it's not going to work. The next one is the lack of commitment. So often when someone is late to work, or someone's going to do some training and get a model and then they don't get a model, that shows a clear lack of commitment, okay? Because most of these things take two people's commitments, not just one, right? So the team members, one person's commitment, and your business, you as the business owner, is another commitment. So we need to be able to point out when we can see there's a lack of commitment. And it might be that you said you would book in something, training or whatever, and you didn't do it. So what's that about? Might be avoidance of accountability. right? So a lot of people don't want to do the health check, or they don't want to, measure their retail units, or they're not interested. They just want to look after their clients. Well, you know what? That's not looking after your clients. It's really important that you understand the full spectrum of your job. And for you, the business owner, it's your understanding that you know the full spectrum of running a business, because if you don't do a good job of running a business, then they don't have a job. And you have a responsibility. When you take someone on, you have a responsibility to make sure that there isn't enough work for that person. So it's a commitment on both people's part. So if you're bringing in new clients for this new person to do, and they're not rebooking them, that's a lack of commitment. If they're not recommending retail, lack of commitment, right? So it has to work both ways. So the avoidance of accountability is a big problem. And so the health check needs to be done in a way that it's gently introduced, and all you do is praise, praise, praise. They know when you teach them, they know the bits that are missing. And then you go, okay, well, what would we need to do, or what is it that I can do to help you? And that talks about the results, right? But if you look at the health check, then if we're just looking at that for results, it's not going to work. Like, that's the tiniest part of the whole accountability, commitment, conflict, and trust triangle, right? So the function of a team is the opposite to the dysfunction of a team. So a team functions well when they're getting results, when they are accountable, when they are committed to what they're doing, when they embrace the conflict, the feedback, all of those things, and when they trust each other, right? So the opposite to the dysfunction of a team is the function of a team. So it's not a bad idea for your team to listen to this training and then to say, perhaps, if there's 1, 2, 3, if there's 5 bits here, so each one is worth 20 points. Would that be right? Yeah, 20 points. So 20 points for results, 20 points for accountability, that's 40, another 20 for commitment, that's 60, another 20 for conflict, that's 80, and another 20 for trust makes 100. So if you were to mark each one of those out of how hard do you think we go on results? How hard do you think we go on accountability? So hard would be 20, and 1 or 2 would be not hard at all. So how much do you feel trusted or safe here? Ask, right? It's just another tool. There's many, many tools that I have for you to open up conversations, and some of them will go, that's perfect. It's exactly what I needed. But you can't keep showing up to your one-on-ones with the same accountability triangle, or the grow document, or they're just all different tools, but you will love, like above and below the line might be another one, but that's only what you love. Someone else, this might resonate with. So it's about using all of the things that we have, because 1, it keeps it interesting and exciting, but 2, it's really important that you understand that we all learn differently, right? And a really good way to explain that is when I was learning to dance. So when your partner dance as a follow, so females are generally the follows, and the male is the lead. So you stand like this. Now, if he does that with his hand, you instantly turn your whole body. It's just magical how it happens. Or he might lean forward with his shoulder and then you walk backwards, right? Or he just tilts back like that and you follow him. So it's incredible how you know. So you learn the moves and steps and things, and you know how to dip without hurting your back and all of that sort of thing. And there's all these wiggles you learn to move, but they're all directed by him, right? So lead and follow is really important. When you have no trust, you don't trust that person, they're trying to drag you and pull you around, it doesn't work. When you dance with someone who's a beautiful lead and when you're a great follow, it's light. It's just flows. It's absolutely magical. And you can feel this connection with some people that you don't with others. But generally they're men, right? So the men are in your ear because they're here. And some men say, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they whisper the whole time in your ear. And you think, mate, enough with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's pretty funny. You never say that though, because leads are scarce. There's lots of women want to learn to dance, but not as many men. So be very careful with your leads and make them want to favour you. I don't know why that's pinging. I'm sorry. It might be this one pinging. Oh, this one. Don't you hate that? This one. Anywho, so the other type of man says, so they listen to the music. So that's an that's a auditory man. I'm going to pull this one out. I think it's it. That's an auditory man. So an auditory man is a man who's using his ears. So he's very much listening to the music, and not me, because I've heard dance teachers say, listen to the bass. There's a bass? Got no idea. Cannot do it, right? Whereas they'll go, wait to the first bar. What's a bar? Not musical at all, right? So I don't know. But for some person, that's really good. So they listen and they go the first, and then they come in. I'm thinking, when? Luckily I'm a follow, so just follow, right? So that's one way of doing it. So the counting, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another way is quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow, because that's generally how a 6-beat works. Quick, quick, slow. So that's how it works. I'm a visual. Quick, quick, slow. I can see quick, quick, slow, because I'm visual, right? So as they're doing it, I'm going quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow, right? That's how I do it. So the reason we have all these tools is because we all learn differently. So some people, most in our industry or the world in general, are 60% visual. So we've already got the highest visual. So things like this really help. But not very often in our industry do we have people that have lists, right? As in that they want to read it. Most of us we want to see it. We want to do it. We want to hang on to the mouse. We want to work it out. We want to pull the brush ourselves. We want to do it, because when we do it, we learn the best. That's a kinesthetic way of learning. Some want to see it printed out. So you'll have more of those in beauty, but not as many in hairdressing. I don't know. I've come across a couple. Right, fascinating. And you'll spot them because they're really good at putting in foils. They're like so neat. Whereas most of them just whack them in and whack them out. But they're really good at reading the person, right? So we're just all different. So all of these things that I teach you, you might go, well, we've learnt that. No, you have. And no, you haven't. Okay, they're just different ways of giving the same thing, which is a great big wide communication pipe that you can say things and you can receive things. Right? And there's many ways to do it. But the dysfunctions of a team, this is the foundations of why you might be having some dysfunction in your business. So you could all watch this together, switch off the tape, and just go around the room and ask everybody what they thought. And you, as the leader, goes last. Because when you talk, you don't listen. Right? So you need to, I'll stop sharing, you need to be the person who listens the most. Now my light's gone off. So hopefully that was helpful. Reach out if I can help you with anything. Really important to just know that everybody's different. There is no 2 hairdressers, 2 beauty therapists, 2 salons, 2 clinics, 2 spas are the same. Never. A lot in common. I will tell you that. You do have a lot in common, but where your location is, the number of team members, your price point, what you offer sets you apart from the one next door. So the other thing I would say is that your competition is not outside. Your competition is how well you look and nurture your team. Because when you have great team members who love working there, who are supported, then they have this great energy and they attract clients and they keep clients. So if you want to be an absolute standout in your business, in your industry, in your community, look after your team. Everything. Look after your team. Thanks for your listening today. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.